Welcome to the RunDown on A2DRadio.com, brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City. We are in the BMW of Atlantic City. Look at that, I can't even talk. We're not even a minute in. BMW of Atlantic City Studios. That's what happens when I try to combine my verbs. See, I did it again. Look, not a good start. Sean Watson, Ralph Delavecchio, Zach Barr. Talking Eagles, hot start, 2-0. Carson Wentz looking like a superstar. Pro Football Focus already ranked him as the top quarterback in football over the first 2 weeks of the season. Now, that's what happened when you play, Cleveland and Chicago. They both stink. You can look good.
The thing
Jay
is,
Cutler
is
trash.
Yeah,
He's
listen, fellas.
very bad.
Yeah, a lot of people, like a lot of guys are going around and saying, they think he's overrated, everything else.
Who, Carson Wentz?
Carson Wentz.
Stop it.
But hold on a second.
Listen,
but listen.
We beat two bad football teams.
No.
But you did what you're supposed to do. When you play two bad football teams, you're supposed to beat bad football teams in the ground.
I was just about to say that. Well, hold on a second. The Eagles didn't make the schedule up. Okay? They didn't go and say, let's play the Cleveland Browns this week. Let's play the Chicago Bears this week.
And this is interesting, and it's a perfect start.
If the Eagles can win this Sunday,
expectations change
a lot.
Well, put it this way. This is why expectations change. Because if you start 3-0, it now becomes a disappointment if you don't make the playoffs. If you start 3-0, the percentages say you're supposed to be a playoff team. So if you start 3-0, even though we have a brutal second half of our schedule, I mean, we've all seen it. Listen, the second half of our schedule, our final 8 games are brutal.
So we need to win these games now. Yeah.
Yeah, starting 3-0 would really help. We could start 3-0 and still only win 8 games because that's how brutal the second half of the schedule is.
Okay, how about that?
But if you start 3-0 and you beat a team like the Steelers to do
Seattle can't score.
Seattle struggles right now.
They can't score.
But see, I'd rather play Seattle right now than Week 12 like we are because by Week 12 I think they figure it out.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
They could.
But if you
Russell Wilson, he's hurt, right?
If you beat a team,
I heard he's hurt.
Well, no, the ankle, he rolled his ankle a little bit, but that's fine. The big problem is, and early on, and this is where they're going to need to figure out, is they have no offensive line. They cannot block and protect him. And we're finally starting to see this. This is what the people like me, the educated people, I know you're an educated football fan. You saw the same thing, Ralph. I don't know about you. You're an idiot sometimes, so who knows. But, the educated football fans, we saw this with Russell Wilson. Is he fun to watch? Well, depending on who you are. Sometimes it can be really irritating. If he's playing against your team, you just want to punch him in the mouth. Can somebody hit him, please? How does he avoid getting hit? Like, he runs all over the place. Nobody can touch him.
And
it's
he's
amazing.
Small.
And you're like, oh, my God, he's so agile. Nobody can touch him. Somebody just punch him in the mouth. But that's what's impressive about him, right? He can escape out the pocket. He's this guy that's 5'11", 6 foot, maybe 210 pounds. You'd think he would get crushed running around like that and being as agile as he is, but he finds a way to avoid getting hit.
Yeah, Wentz is looking, other than not sliding, Wentz is looking like a guy like Russell Wilson, but he's a lot taller than Russell Wilson.
But here's Wentz's big thing.
The Ben Roethlisberger because of the size.
Yeah.
It's an easy comparison. But, that's – I look at that as and I made this comparison last year with Cam Newton when Cam got attacked on Super Bowl leading up to the Super Bowl when he made the comment about being a black quarterback that is big and strong and athletic and all these things that we've never seen before and that maybe scares some people. And I said, well, in some ways he's right. I mean, the only quarterback we've ever seen like him was probably a Randall Cunningham, and even Randall wasn't quite the total package like Cam Newton is. Randall wasn't as big and strong as Cam is. Randall was the freakish athlete and just the absolute physical freak like Cam is, but you add 6'6", 250, the ability to throw the ball a mile like Randall Cunningham had, but also the ability to get knocked around and take hits and all that, things that, Randall was the, what they called him, you remember back in the 90s, not Gumby, but he was, he was known as Plastic Man, you know what I mean? Like the big, tall, lanky guy could hit him. He'd take weird hits, awkward angles and stuff. But he was just, that athletic and that good where, until he tore the ACL, obviously, it wasn't a problem. So I defended Cam because I said, that's true. In some ways he is unlike anything we've ever seen. And as far as being the black quarterback thing, I mean, he's referring to the systematic racism that took place back in the 70s with, Warren Moon being blackballed out of the league and all that. So I don't have a problem with that either. But I heard somebody say, it was a Steelers fan, and they told me, they're like, well, I think that's a load of crap because, for me, Ben Roethlisberger is everything that Cam Newton is, but he's been this way for a decade. I was like, why? Because he's 6'5" and 250 just like Cam is? Like, Roethlisberger can't move like Cam Newton. Roethlisberger's not the athlete that Cam Newton is, and that's why I don't like that comparison for Carson Wentz.
Can keep the plays going, and you see that throughout his whole career.
He can extend a play like that, but Cam Newton is a hybrid unlike anything we've ever seen. And Carson Wentz isn't going to quite be that type of hybrid, but I don't like the comparison for Big Ben or, I've heard Carson Palmer and I've heard Joe Flacco and names like that thrown around because they're obviously similar in size. Carson Wentz has the mobility that none of those guys have. You know what I mean? And for me, Carson Wentz is a little bit bigger version of an Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
A little bit taller.
But I think Carson Wentz has, to tell you the truth, when I was watching the game in Chicago the other night, he kind of reminds me of Rodgers a little bit, though. I'm gonna be real with his reads and how he moves back and forth and how he's calling audibles and.
But I mean Andrew Luck does that type of stuff too.
I understand,
and I just think they're similar in size.
Similar in size.
Both pocket passers that have the mobility and the legs and the agility to get out and escape plays and run and get positive yards.
The only knock I have on this man is he's not going to make it through a 16-game season.
Yeah.
If he doesn't,
well, that's a problem.
If it's not there, throw the ball out of bounds.
Or get down,
if it's
or go out of bounds.
Whatever.
He took a couple hits that were just completely unnecessary.
He lit up.
He did.
He can't take
Monday
them
night.
hits. And especially when you're saying that they played a bad Chicago team and a bad a Browns team, but he's going against one of the top 5 best defenses in football this week, and they're going to. And if you don't think they're not going to go out there headhunting them,
if he does,
they're going to try
James
to
Harrison is going to knock him out.
Definitely right.
You know what I'm
definitely
saying?
Right.
That's something that he really needs to work on. Now, we talked about playing 2 bad football teams, and it's interesting because that's one of the answers I have for our poll question. What has been the biggest reason for the Eagles' 2-0 start, this hot start? A, Carson Wentz, B, Doug Pederson, C, Eagles defense, or D, playing bad football teams. I think there should be an E option.
No, I'm not saying bad football.
I made the question, so it's kind of like if I have a problem with it, I got nobody to rip but myself. But I think there should be an E option because in some ways, it's a combination of all those things.
But they're soundly beating these teams, Zach. They're beating them 29.
Maddie, turn my microphone down a little bit. It's a little bit too loud in my own head.
Well, it was 29-7. Then they had the punt return. Okay.
Well, see, and that's my thing is when you're playing a bad football team, good football teams don't let bad football teams hang around.
Right.
They put them away. They step on the throat, and they
and they did that.
And they choked the life out of you.
And they did that.
And they did that both weeks. It was a little bit close at halftime in the Cleveland game. They came out, put the pedal to the metal in the second.
And the Eagles were losing. I believe it was like clocked at 11 minutes. The Eagles were losing 7-3 against the Bears.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were losing that game at one point.
Now here's my big concern over this start. Yes, it's a hot start. We're 2-0. Now we've looked phenomenal. I don't think we could have looked any better in this 2-0 start. But there's still a lot of things that concern me when I watch this team play. That when you
how about Ryan Matthews only getting the ball 2 times?
It's
2 times in the first half.
It seemed like he didn't get the football enough. That was one of the things I thought.
2 times
watching that
in
game.
the first half.
Yeah.
And a guy that had 2 touchdowns. I'm just saying.
The things I'm talking about have to do with when we play better football teams. These are going to be the types of things that are going to hurt us, and that teams are going to be able to. Good football teams will be able to exploit us with. One, we still seem to struggle covering down the field.
Oh, yeah.
Our front seven's solid, but that secondary.
Jeffrey smoked them straight down the field. I mean, Malcolm Jenkins went and stopped him.
Jalen Mills' ankles.
Yeah, I mean,
he
just looks terrible.
But I'm just saying, Malcolm Jenkins didn't go and hold him up and tackle. It was marching for a touchdown completely.
Dude, it was insane. Alshon Jeffrey broke his ankle.
But the Eagles, what Jim Schwartz has to do is Jim Schwartz has to double Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Or Antonio Brown can get close to 200 yards receiving.
Maybe even 300.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah, I mean 300's out of it.
Let's be realistic.
No, but he could put up a 200-yard day. I mean, he could have 10 to 12 catches for close to 200 yards.
Right.
And my concern is with that, we haven't seen in either of the 2 weeks the Eagles experiment with something like that. We've played a lot of man-to-man coverage.
Yeah.
We've rushed our front 4. And even when we've gotten burnt in the secondary, we haven't adjusted to try to double cover somebody. And I don't know if we have the depth to be able to do that necessarily. If Leotis McKelvin misses another week this week, that's a problem. That leaves you one really good cornerback in Nolan Carroll. As Sean has a phone call, he's too important. He's an important person. This is probably Ryan Matthews, probably listening to the show at the moment. And when you look at our secondary, Nolan Carroll's a one solid corner. I don't think he can cover Antonio Brown one-on-one because I don't think any corner in football can cover Antonio Brown one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Brashawn Breeland's a better corner than any corner we have on our roster, and he looked like a cupcake week 1.
Now the Redskins are a stupid organization.
Well, they play a poor scheme.
Now listen,
and you saw that they made that change this week, right? Because now Norman's going to be on Odell Beckham. And
that should have been a primetime game.
Well, he should have been on Antonio Brown week 1, and everybody ripped him apart because, he wasn't on their best receiver. Well, that's the way the scheme works.
Yeah.
And now they're 0-2 because they've got a stupid scheme. So here you go. He wasn't on Des Bryant last week.
Well, the Redskins are a stupid organization anyway. You pay that guy that much money, pay $70 million. He's supposed to cover the best receivers, and you don't even. And Breeland got cooked.
How about this though?
Breeland got cooked against Antonio
Sean
Brown.
wants to continue to say he's not worth the money, and I can rip him because he's not here to defend himself. But Sean wants to say he's not worth the money. Pro Football Focus has said Josh Norman's having the best year of his career through 2 games. That he's been the best cornerback in football. Because anytime he has been thrown at, nothing's happened.
Yeah.
He's been completely shut down on whoever he's been covering.
Yeah, and then they put Dez on Breeland,
and now Washington has bigger problems. And I continue to talk about McLaughlin, the GM that's out there in Washington, and we can talk as much crap as we want about the Washington's organization. Dan Snyder's not in control there anymore. Scott McLaughlin, the GM, has a lot of power. He's smart. He's considered one of the top talent executives in football. That's not my opinion. I listen to the smarter people way smarter than me, the football experts, and that's what they say. When this guy was a GM in San Francisco, interim GM there, and then
went to Seattle,
and then was involved with Seattle when they were drafting Russell Wilson and Richard Sherman and all these people to help build that Super Bowl team. And he left because he had a drinking problem, was an alcoholic, and wanted to get that under control. And while he was away from football, he ran his own scouting agency. He pretty much paid teams, and teams paid him to evaluate college players and give them advice and input on who they should draft and where they should draft them at. That's what this job was. This is what this guy does. He's the guy that told Kirk Cousins, no, you're not getting your $100 million contract. No, you can play, if you want that big deal, you can play on the franchise tag. Yeah. And now Kirk Cousins, that locker room in Washington wants Colt McCoy to be their quarterback.
Yeah.
So that tells you how bad this NFC East is. Now all of a sudden we start 2-0, and I look at this schedule and say, well, we don't have more than 8 wins on this schedule, yet you might not need more than 8 wins.
Yeah.
On this schedule and this year to be right there in the NFC East.
You can go 7-9 and win the division.
I don't know about that, but 8-8 could very well win this division. The Redskins are 0-2.
9 wins, you might win the division.
The Redskins are 0-2.
Dallas.
I had them winning the division. Dallas is 1-1, and the Giants are 2-0. But nobody's looked impressive. We've actually been the most impressive team in the division. Yeah. Now we've also played the 2 worst football teams out of anybody in the division.
Yeah, that is true.
So you kind of you don't really have an idea of where
this
we're
whole
at.
NFC is just a toss-up to begin with.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point today as we break down this Eagles hot start is at 2-0, and that's why we came on the air talking about if the Eagles go 3-0 and beat the Steelers, it changes everything.
Everything changes.
Expectations have to change because the NFC East is so bad and you're off to such a hot start, it would be a disappointment if you didn't.
Make the playoffs.
Make the playoffs and win the division.
Now, the second half is going to be very tough because we got the Packers, the Bengals, and the Seahawks.
You've got a lot of really good football teams, and Adrian Peterson now being out in Minnesota, that helps, obviously, because he shouldn't be back when we play them. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers hasn't looked the best through 2 weeks. Yeah. But there's still football teams on the schedule that are better football teams than us. The Bengals are on this schedule. It's a better football team than us. All these teams, we play the Ravens again later this year because we play the AFC North. Yeah. Those are better football teams than us. And that's where I get concerned with some of the things we're talking about, even with a 2-0 start and as bad as this division is, whether or not 8-8 is going to be able to win the division. Because I look at this team, and I still don't think even with a 2-0 start that we get past 8 wins, Sean, now that you're back to join the conversation.
I'm sorry about that. I had a little personal
now that you're back to join the conversation. But this hot start, what it's done, we talked about the Redskins when you were gone and how they're 0-2. Mm-hmm. And I talked about Scott McLaughlin, the GM out there, who right now is up for Executive of the Year because he was the one that decided to not break the bank and give Kirk Cousins $100 million. And said, no, you're going to earn that money. I'll have you on a franchise tag for a year. If you want your $100 million, come earn it. And he's looked so terrible and so incompetent.
I got to give it to Howie, bro. If they win this division, you got to give it to Howie Roseman.
That's fine. I'm just talking about in the conversation.
I understand.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to talk about we all sit here and make fun of Washington for being a bad organization, okay?
Which they are.
5 years ago, the Washington Redskins would have signed Kirk Cousins to a 5-year, $100 million deal and made him the franchise guy. Instead, they're not doing that because the guy in charge is no longer Daniel Snyder. The guy in charge is McLaughlin. Remember, I've talked about him a little bit and how he's viewed as a talent executive around the league. I mentioned he was an alcoholic and all that.
And Kirk Cousins bet on himself.
Kirk Cousins bet on himself.
That's what you
and
get
the
for betting
Redskins says
on
that's
yourself.
fine. And now they're 0-2, and that locker room wants Colt McCoy because they think he'll play with more confidence than Kirk Cousins.
I do like the Redskins with 6 points this week.
Who are they up against this weekend?
The Giants.
They're playing the Giants.
The reason why
that's a good matchup. The Giants aren't going to go 3-0.
I'm going to give you my reasons. The reasons why is if you look at all.
My reason is Josh Norman shuts down Odell Beckham.
Listen, if you look at,
and I'm going to miss that game.
Listen, if you look at this, I'm going to tell you
should have been a prime
every NFC game it's been from 1 point to 3 points every game. You're giving the Redskins 6 points.
Nobody wants to see the Redskins in prime time after they crap the bet on prime time against
Listen, I'm
Pittsburgh.
talking about points.
No, I know what you are. He's talking about that should have been a prime time game.
Should have been a prime
Redskins
time
Giants. Please, nobody wants to see the Redskins on prime time after they crap the bet against Pittsburgh. Stop it. But
I'm talking points.
I talk about McLaughlin a little bit.
They might not even win the game. I just think it's going to be a really close game. They're going to cover.
I think they win the game because I don't think the Giants go 3-0.
I'd rather have the Redskins win that game than the Giants.
I don't think the Giants go 3-0. But I brought it up when you were gone because I was having a little fun because I said Pro Football Focus says, according to the numbers, that Josh Norman has been the best defensive back in football over the first 2 weeks. Anytime he's been thrown at, nothing's happened. I mean, nobody has put up any type of performance against him. Now, he was only, he wasn't on Antonio Brown as much in week 1 as Breland was, the other guy, because of the scheme, and he wasn't on Des Bryant as much as Breland was in week 2 because of the scheme. They started 0-2 because Breland couldn't stop either one of them, and now what happened? This week they're announcing, the hell with our scheme, Norman's going to be on OBJ, Aldo Beckham III. He's going to...
I'm going to love to see
Odell Beckham Jr. I'm calling him the third.
Does any of them throw punches again?
No, I think
they're going to get ejected.
I think this time it's more about business, and both of them feel like they have something to prove. But I'll just say this about the McLaughlin thing, and this is why I brought it up, and how he's the respected talent executive. Was in Seattle, you know what I mean? Was involved in drafting all the players there that were part of that Super Bowl team. Was an alcoholic that left and resigned from that position to try to go get help. But while he was away from football, between that job and now being the Redskins general manager, you know what the people paid him for? NFL teams paid him to be a talent advisor. Pretty much he ran his own talent advising firm out of his house, and he would study film on college players, and teams paid him to advise them on where they should draft players, when they should draft players in the draft. This guy's going to be a steal. You can get him in this round. This guy's going to be a stud. Make sure you take. That was what he did, and that's why I thought this guy is like. It's not like I'm not overhyping him. He's that type of respected talent executive.
Well, that's how I rated Tom Gamble when they got
Tom Gamble's another.
Tom Gamble when they got him from San Fran. The Eagles got him from San Fran, and then that was Chip Kelly's boy, and then Howie Roseman and maybe Howie Roseman, if you look at it more, maybe Howie Roseman thought that this guy was a big-time threat going down the road.
Probably.
And figure, you know what, we got to get rid of this guy now because he was a good, talent-looking mind. Now, Howie Roseman, you got to admit, a lot of people as far as professionals, they didn't like Carson Wentz. Let's be honest. Nobody did. And Carson Wentz.
The Cleveland Browns fired 3 scouts apparently because they said that Wentz Wentz should be the guy they take it to. And of course, Cleveland continues to make bad decisions because they're Cleveland. But the Redskins, he's the right man in charge. Daniel Snyder doesn't have the power there. McLaughlin does. Now, unfortunately, until Kirk Cousins gets out of there, it looks like they're screwed anyway. They're going to have to try to draft a quarterback. But everything he's done so far has at least got them on the right path. You know what I mean? They didn't pay Kirk Cousins the money. They got RG3, the cancer, out of town. That's why I was concerned about them going into this season. And now Kirk Cousins doesn't play with confidence, and this team wants Colt McCoy because apparently he'll play with more confidence. So they're 0-2. The Cowboys are 1-1. The Giants are 2-0, and we're 2-0. And really, we're the most impressive team in the division. So my question to you, Sean Watson, is does 8-8 become a realistic mark as far as that could be the mark that wins the division this year?
I said it before.
Does 8-8 win
I
the
said
NFC
it before the
East?
season even started when they had Sam Bradford. That I thought the Eagles were going to be 8-8, 9-7 best.
Well, that's what
9-7.
I had 8 wins too. But can that win the
Bradford?
East?
No, 7-9, bro.
You think 7-9 could win the East?
No, excuse me. 9-7.
9-7.
Not 7.
So you have to get the 9 wins.
9 wins.
Okay.
9 wins the East. Yeah.
All right. See, I
nine wins with 4 division wins. gets you wins.
See, this is interesting now.
Well, the thing is, I even think I'm going to go off by saying I even think if the Eagles split 3-3 would do it, but they have to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, or they have to beat.
They have to steal a game later on.
They have
the
to
Bengals,
steal,
the Ravens,
the Ravens, or
they have to steal
the Vikings,
or the Seahawks.
Right.
They have to steal one of those 3 games with the Packers, the Bengals, or the Seahawks. They have to be at least.
I think they
Yeah.
definitely beat the Bengals. I think they can beat them.
You think so?
Yes.
That's a defense that scares me. Now, if Wentz learns to kind of protect
even if they
himself a
win,
little bit,
if they would somehow, some way win this week, just say,
right.
I think it's very possible they can beat the Bengals. I'm just telling you.
Well, I think the Steelers are clearly a better football team than Cincinnati. They beat Cincinnati pretty handily last week, and Pittsburgh looks every bit like a Super Bowl contender. Once they get Le'Veon Bell back, once they got all their weapons back, they're going to be absolutely filthy.
Yeah, but their run game is still effective.
With 35-year-old D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah. Well,
it's
he's running like he's in his 20s again.
It's amazing.
Just to let you guys know.
We'll get into that Steelers-Eagles game when we come back. We'll also break down the Eagles-Bears a little bit. Is Jay Cutler the worst quarterback in football? I say yes. What say you? This is the Rundown. A2DRadio.com, brought to you by Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, 856-889-3434. Go to the website, www.scanzanosports.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there. A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
You're listening to The Rundown, only on A2DRadio.com.
Welcome to the Rundown, A2DRadio.com. Talking the Eagles' hot start. 2-0. Played two bad football teams, but still, got to play who's on your schedule. Browns, Bears, both on our schedule. Good start to the season because, let's be honest, schedule's only going to get tougher. We're probably not going to play too easier, or I don't want to say too easier because no football game's easy as the NFL. But we're probably not going to play. The Browns and the Bears are probably the two worst football teams on our schedule.
I think the Lions are very beatable, though.
The Lions are beatable, but I'll tell you what, the Lions scare me more than I thought the Lions were going to stink this year. I had no faith in Matthew Stafford. For me, Matthew Stafford and Jay Cutler were very similar. And once Stafford lost Calvin Johnson, I thought it's over. This guy doesn't have his safety blanket. He's not going to be able to go through his reads. It's just not going to work for them.
Now listen,
this guy looked better without Calvin Johnson than he did with him. He's got five different weapons
Jay
to spread
Cutler,
the ball around to now.
Listen, getting back to your point, what you said before break, okay, about Jay Cutler being the worst quarterback in the National Football League. Talent-wise, he has a lot of talent, Zach. A lot of talent. The guy can throw a football 65 yards in the field. He has the ability. The guy is a cancer, though. Okay?
Well,
he's not a leader at all whatsoever. His own teammates hate him.
I agree with him not being a leader. I don't know if he's a cancer because cancers are more problem starters, people that are disruptive, things like that. Like RG3 was a cancer. Jay Cutler's not a cancer, but Jay Cutler is not engaged enough.
Dude, he sprained his thumb and took himself out of the game.
Listen, it's bigger than that, though.
Zach, here you go.
No, because
couple years ago.
I know what you're saying, and this is the point that I understand you're trying to make, and this is where you're spot on. You need your quarterback to be engaged. Your quarterback in the NFL especially, okay? There's no such thing as a quarterback in the NFL who's not the captain or the leader of that football team. Very few. Like Aaron Rodgers, there's been, talk and, and things like that. Like Greg Jennings has come out and said, listen, the guy kind of keeps to himself a little bit at times. He's kind of moody. He kind of got that California cool thing going on. You know what I mean? Good mood the one day, mood the next day. Doesn't really talk with people. It's not real, it's not like he's this guy going out, hanging out with you, out, off the field and being involved in your personal life and being best friends with you and all. It's just not him. But when you're Aaron Rodgers and you're statistically the greatest quarterback in the NFL's history to date, as far as statistically goes, that's what the statistics say, you can get away with that.
Do you know where I have
for
a
the
problem
most
with Cutler?
part,
This is where I have a problem with Cutler. A couple years ago, a few years back, he was in the NFC Championship game. Okay,
right? And I know what you're talking about the meniscus
himself
injury. Right,
out
the
of the
meniscus.
game.
Well,
you're down, Zach. At halftime, you're down by 10.
They said the trainer. They said the trainers have to do with that. But I remember the game you're talking about. It was against Green Bay.
I'm playing.
He tore the meniscus. I'm with you. Listen. It's my football team.
Zach.
Yes.
I'm 10 points away. It's halftime. I'm down by 10. I'm playing that game.
And I'm winning
if
that
I
game.
come
If
back,
the
if I
trainers come
come back,
to you-
no. I'm telling the trainers, Ronnie Lott.
that's my
Ronnie Lott
point.
said, "Here's my finger." They said, Ronnie, you're not playing in the Super Bowl. He said, your finger, you're not going to be able to play. Ronnie said, cut it off. Ronnie had his finger. Ronnie Lott had his finger cut off to play in the Super Bowl.
That's the point I'm trying to touch on.
I'm playing in that game.
I get what you're saying. Like that's where he's not engaged enough with that football team. The trainers come and say, oh, well, you got this knee injury, this meniscus, whatever. We recommend you sit out. Okay, I'll sit out. Meanwhile, Maurice Jones-Drew played the whole year that year with a similar injury and played all 16 games as a running back for the Jaguars. And he's like, this guy. Like, that's what I'm saying. If I'm this guy's teammate, I can't rally around him as my quarterback.
Not whatsoever.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's
Brian
where
Hoyer looked better than Jay Cutler when Brian Hoyer
and that's where, like I said, like as a quarterback, if your football team can't rally around you as the guy, then
there's a big problem.
Right. Then that's just not going to work.
Do the Bears upset the Cowboys this week?
No.
No.
You're stupid if you
The
say
Bears
that.
stink.
Brian
The
Hoyer.
Bears suck.
The
Terrible football
Bears
team.
stink. I actually saw preseason. There was a report I read. This article that I read that said the Bears are one of two football teams. There's two football teams in the NFL that are getting like absolutely zero hype. like there was just zero excitement surrounding them.
Do you want to know why?
Cleveland and Chicago.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you.
And of course, that's who we opened the season against.
Listen,
the two teams with zero excitement.
When I was
as far as at the end of the year, there's zero expectations.
When I was in Chicago, even the Chicago Bear fans, they were even telling me in the stands saying that we really don't even care about the Bears. We're so big on the Cubs.
Well,
They're so big on
that's
the Cubs.
always been a baseball city. That's always been a Cubs city.
They don't even care
It's
about
almost-
the Bears.
But like when
city-
the Cubs aren't in it, like don't get into the Bears and all that. And they're into the Bears, like they're a good fan base. But the Cubs right now are going to dominate.
Yeah.
Like the Bears could be winning too, and it wouldn't matter because the Cubs are
Now-
the Cubs are Chicago going back to the 1920s.
Now,
like
Zach, it's
the
just
Cubs
like-
are Chicago.
It's just like St.
But
Louis.
hold on a second.
It's just like St. Louis.
But you know what you just said that?
Better football town than St. Louis.
To a
But I'm
certain
saying with
point,
the baseball
to a
aspect,
certain
though.
point, what you said about Chicago, about the Cubs, if you live on one side, you're a White Sox fan. If you live on the other side, you're a Cubs fan.
See,
I was
I can speak on that firsthand.
No,
'cause-
I talked to Chicago fans this
well,
week, bro.
I have a good friend that is from Chicago. Grew up
It
in
depends
Chicago.
on where you live. It depends on where you
Okay,
live.
you haven't
That's
even heard what
what-
I'm going to say yet, Sean. What are you going to sit here and argue with me
I'm
before I
just
even made
telling
a
you
point?
what. I am going to argue, but good.
I haven't even made a point. He wants to argue with my point. He doesn't even know what my point is.
All right, good. Your friend from Chicago.
Yes, he's got the old school Cubs logo tattooed on his chest. That's how like much Chicago goes through his blood. His parents still live in Chicago and all that. The year after I graduated high school, I spent the summer in Ocean City. Hang out a lot down there, did a lot of partying, and we lived with this guy for like a 3-month period at a house that we were renting out. Doing nothing but partying with him the whole summer. So, like, we really got to, we had a lot of conversation with the dude. We knew a lot about each other's lives by the time that summer ended. And you're right as far as where you grew up in Chicago affects who you cheer for. But the only hardcore fan base on the baseball side of it that exists in Chicago is the Cubs fan. Like, pretty much, like, White Sox fans are viewed as bandwagon fans or fraudulent fans. They're not the educated baseball fan that the Chicago Cub fan is. And
Zach,
the Cubs go back in that city like
they won a World Series back in 2000. What was it? 2003. They won a
but
World.
But if the Cubs
the White Sox won a World Series.
06.
Or
05.
whatever.
But if the Cubs
Back
were
in
to
the
win a
early
World
2000s,
Series,
they won a
if
World
the
Series.
Cubs won the World Series this year, and when the Cubs win a World Series, maybe not this year, but when they win the World Series because they have the formula in the team there, the parade and the celebration that went on for the White Sox, I mean, it's going to look like a minor league fucking thing compared to what the Cubs are going to have come the World Series and their celebration.
Okay, but listen.
Like that's where that city's at.
I understand, but listen.
It's always going to be Cubs over White Sox.
White
They're not
Sox,
going to get mad at White Sox success.
But White Sox fans,
but it's always going to be Cubs over White Sox.
And I asked this question with White Sox fans in a bar this weekend. I said, "Are you going to root for the Chicago Cubs to win the World Series?" They said, "Absolutely not. We can't stand the Cubs." I asked a group of Cub fans. No, I honestly did this because I wanted to know. Are you going to root? Would you ever root for the Chicago White Sox? Did you root for the Chicago White Sox in the early 2000s when you won the World Series? They said, absolutely not. We can't stand the Cubs. They hate each other. Now, they root. Obviously, they're going to be rooting for the Blackhawks. Obviously, they're going to be rooting for the Bulls. They're going to be rooting for the Bears.
Well, let me ask you something, because this is kind of how I make that compare. Like when you watch a Cubs game,
yeah,
Wrigley's packed. There's 40,000 people there. The energy's real.
It's not really a big stadium, though, bro.
It's not a big stadium, but they pack that thing wall to wall.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The only
they
game
got their own town, Wrigleyville.
The only game,
you're like right outside all the bars up and down Wrigley Field. It's considered Wrigleyville.
The only game that wasn't packed was Monday because the Cubs played. Like I went to the 1:00 game on Sunday. Okay, Monday they were giving tickets away for $20, which that's unheard of. Because everyone's going to be at the Bears game.
Going to be there at night, right? But like that's my point.
And they clinched too, by the way.
Like when you watch watch a White Sox game, there might be 25,000 people there. You know what I'm saying? Like that place is never. Comerica Park.
They're like
with the White Sox.
But they're like how the Phillies are right now, Zach.
Even when they were good, they went. Dude, if you look up their attendance during the season that they won the World Series. They weren't even in the top half of baseball for average attendance per game.
We got to look that up.
I looked it up. That's why I know that this is something that I looked it up a while back, and then followed up on it because it was something that I heard somebody mention, like one of the sports analysts on TV or whatever mentioned. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Now, come playoff times, they had 45,000 people at their games and stuff.
It's
but
like
in
the
regular
Washington
season,
Nationals.
yeah, exactly. Like in the regular season, the White Sox aren't putting 45,000 people in the seats. All that attention's on the Cubs. Because,
but do you know who that's kind of remind me of? What you're just saying right
now?
Well,
hold on.
The Florida team.
I'll let you.
Yeah.
The Braves,
the
Florida, the Nationals are a bad example.
The Florida Panthers.
The Nationals are a bad example. The Braves were a good example.
Dude, the Miami Marlins spent all that money on a stadium and they can't even fill it. Dude.
This is what really played into that on that end is, and this is where you talk about which side you're from. Wrigley is on the good side of Chicago. The Cubs play on the good side of Chicago. The White Sox, more of the bad side of Chicago. The heavy crime area.
The gangs, yeah.
You know what I mean? More of the low-income area. That type of thing. So it's kind of like when the Rams played in the LA Coliseum back in the 90s, and it was just the hood at that point. Like, the gang problems was just so rampant in LA at that moment, and the Raiders played in the better part of LA while the Rams played in the worst part of LA. And they played in two different stadiums back in that time. And that helped attribute to the Rams initially moving to St. Louis because the attendance numbers weren't there because the stadium was in a bad area, and it just all added up into, what ended up becoming a problem. The team was bad, the attendance wasn't there, bad area, bad stadium, just none of it was working. Let's move to St. Louis. But even though, the White Sox on the bad side of Chicago, if I put that in air quotes, the bad side of Chicago, like, Any city that you go to that has multiple teams that play in the city, like L.A., for example, right?
How about New York?
New York, for example, right? Like, the Yankees have a following, the Mets have a following, but the Yankees are always going to be a little bit bigger in New York than the Mets are.
Well, of course. They also have 27
in L.A., right?
World Series.
In L.A., right? You've got the Angels, you've got the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are always going to be a little bit bigger deal than the Angels are, no matter what. Because that's just the way that's going to work.
Pennsylvania, we got two teams.
But 8 hours away from each other.
Still.
So, I mean, and that's the Philadelphia. You should know that. You know that. Philadelphia region, Pittsburgh region, two completely different regions. You get out to Pittsburgh, there's not even a Wawa. We're lost. We're like, where's the Wawa at?
Yeah.
All I see is sheets. This sucks. It's terrible. But, like, that's Chicago when you talk about the Cubs, the White Sox. The Cubs are always going to be a bigger deal to that city and to the people there
they both
than
hate
the White
each other.
Sox. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
What I mean? It's like
why wouldn't
it's
you?
like you wouldn't know. I don't think you would know this, but you would definitely know this. Bonner and O'Hara,
Yeah.
the rivals. It's like the Cowboys and the
Eagles.
Cowboys and Eagles.
Yeah.
Like it's the rivals you have.
They both hate each other.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We're 15 minutes from each other, Bonner and O'Hara, but they can't stand each other.
Yeah.
They have. I mean, there's fights and everything else at games and everything. I mean, that's just how it is. It's rivals.
What has been the biggest reason for the Eagles' 2-0 start? Carson Wentz, Doug Pederson, Eagles defense, or playing bad football teams? That is the poll question, a2dradio.com. This is the rundown. What do you guys think? What has been the biggest reason
I
for the
think Carson
Eagles' 2-0
Wentz is the
start?
biggest reason, dude. That kid just gets everything. The first play of the game, he's picking apart the defense, doing the chest thing, the mouth, going to Jordan, let's switch this up. Little hitch plays here and there. Dude, he hurts you, bro. He's going to be something, and I'm excited for Sunday, and I'm so excited for the future. I think it's Carson Wentz.
I'm going to have to say,
you know what?
I'm going to have to say Peterson's play calling too.
You
bro.
think so?
Oh my God.
Well, you know what?
Doubt.
See, if I had that, if this question was worded a little different, if it was who has been the most impressive Eagle so far, I might go Doug Pederson.
Dude,
because
he stretched the receivers out
because you know
majority
me.
of the second half.
I was scared.
Second quarter.
I was scared of Doug Pederson. 100% terrified that this guy was going to be overwhelmed, that this guy just wasn't quite going to get it. It's one thing to run an offense, but having to be in control and be be in charge of 53 grown men and their personalities, I was concerned.
How about the tight end screen?
Yeah.
I mean,
Trey
dude,
Burton
you know,
actually. Yeah, Trey Burton actually.
that was a play action tight end screen. He did a play-action tight end
Trey
screen.
Burton actually looks pretty good, dude.
No, but listen to what I'm saying.
Well, Trey Burton does look. See, Trey Burton, and then, tell me this isn't a good comparison, Sean. I look at Trey Burton, and let's hope he could be this because the guy's in the Hall of Fame, or should be in the Hall of Fame, or will be in the Hall of Fame. Shannon Sharp, he's in the Hall of Fame. That's right. He was inducted a few years back. Shannon Sharp, right? Kind of a hybrid tight end. 6'3", 245, 250-ish, big and strong, but played off the line of scrimmage a lot. Right? Played in the slot, that type of. That's Trey Burton, 6'2", close to 250 pounds.
He has good hands. That's what I like
Great
about him.
Got more of a
That's what I like about
receiver hands, receiver agility. Is going to do a lot of playing off the line of scrimmage.
Now he's nowhere near as big as Zach Ertz,
No.
but still,
but that's why I make the Shannon Sharp comparison.
It's real rare that I ever see him drop
Listen, if Zach Ertz could have had Trey Burton's hands, Zach Ertz would be an elite tight end.
Oh my God!
How about this for last week? We got 76 views as I see our, just on the A2D radio site alone, we got 76 views last week, and we ended up, because I mess up. Maddie, this is why you're back to produce, by the way. I tried to double dip and host and produce the rundown last week, and about 5 to 10 minutes in, I put the logo, what was going to be the thumbnail, I put it over to the live side of the screen on Wirecast, but even though Tom had already hooked up the audio codec, and got it clicked on, so I didn't have to touch anything like an idiot. I went and touched it, and we clicked on audio codec, so we couldn't hear anything, and the show cut out after like 10 minutes. We had to take it to commercial and then come back, and still somehow we got close to 100 views last week just through A2DRadio.com alone. That's amazing. I'm like Colin Cowherd. I must be that good.
Stop.
No, it's amazing. You ever watch one of these guys that you're like, like this guy, like I could only dream about being what this guy is in the industry. You know what I mean? Like
Colin Cowherd is a freaking genius.
I could only dream about being as famous and respected and well liked in the industry as this guy is. And then you actually see him touch on a point.
Do you think that's the reason why Skip Bayless left?
Dude, everybody's going to FS1. Everybody.
No, but do you think that's the reason why he went?
I think because Skip Bayless left because he's an idiot.
Because in ESPN or SportsCenter, you can't even say what you want to say.
Listen, Skip Bayless.
FS1, you can say whatever you want.
Skip Bayless talks out of his ass because it's fun to him.
That's all he loves. He loves the Dallas
He
Cowboys.
thinks the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl this year.
He says that every year.
He picked the Cowboys, and his reasoning is Dak Prescott is going to tear it up until Tony Romo comes back. Then Romo's going to come back. The Cowboys are going to win the NFC East because it's a poor division. They're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to have the special formula, and they're going to go win this thing. And meanwhile, Troy Aikman, who won Super Bowls for the Cowboys and was their former quarterback, comes out, and this is what we do. This is the worldwide leader of real talk, okay? Listen, if you're an idiot, then you're an idiot. I don't care if you're Skip Bayless or who the hell you are. Skip Bayless is an idiot, okay? Yeah, we all know this. Skip Bayless is nothing but hot air coming out of his ass. He's Donald Trump and Chris Christie thrown in the one person, okay? He would be if Donald Trump and Chris Christie combined to form a sports talk host. That's what he did, okay? He just talks out of his ass. He's nothing but hot air. He makes no damn sense. And Troy Aikman, Mr. Cowboy over here, right, comes out and says, for me, I work at Fox. I've been at Fox for a long time. For me, you should hire people and focus on hiring people that have class, that are respected, that are knowledgeable, and that know what they're doing and are well liked and respected throughout this industry. And for me, throughout this industry, I cannot talk today. I try to go off on people. I cannot talk. He said, that's what we should be hiring. That's who we should be looking to try to bring in. Colin Cowherd, good hire, right? He said, now, Skip Bayless is none of those things that I just mentioned. As a matter of fact, he's the complete opposite. He's not liked by anybody.
Colin Cowherd gets along with Skip Bayless, though.
Well, Colin Cowherd gets along with everybody because he's Colin Cowherd, because he's a good dude. And he's not, he's not confrontational. He doesn't get in your face and get all egotistic. This is my show, and don't you come on my show and try to steal my thunder. Skip Bayless sits here and argues with Shannon Sharp, and I like Shannon Sharp as a player too, okay? Shannon Sharp, good football player. Shannon Sharp, annoying as hell when he was on CBS, okay? Well, if Shannon Sharp is able to make you look like an idiot in an argument,
then you're an idiot, Skip Bayless.
That's a problem. I mean, literally, like Shannon Sharp and his Savannah State education makes you look stupid.
That
should never happen. When Shannon Sharp is running circles around you and making you look stupid when it comes to sports arguments, Skip Bayless is just an idiot.
Do you know what Skip Bayless is? And listen, I think Howard Eskin's very knowledgeable, okay? Like I told you a while ago, a couple years ago, he was Vegas Vic. He's the one that went 16-0 on Monday Night Footballs. Never lost against the spread, by the way. Never.
Who, Howard?
Howard Eskin. He went 16-0 against spread on Monday Night Football. He was Vegas Vic. That's what he was. Mm-hmm. Well, Howard Eskin makes these crazy, crazy statements sometimes. And I'll give you one example right now. Back in 2004, when the Eagles were in the Super Bowl and when the Flyers went to the Stanley Cup Finals, right? The Flyers were in the Stanley Cup Finals and the Eagles had that good team. The Eastern Conference Finals, and they went to Game 7 against Tampa Bay. Right.
Don't bring that up.
He said, listen, Howard Eskin said, I don't want the Flyers to win the Stanley Cup Finals because it would ruin the Eagles' Super Bowl dreams. He said some crazy stuff like that. The reason why he said that because he knew we was going to have all them callers that are going to call in, Howard, you're a retard, Howard you're a dope, blah, blah, blah. He wanted to go and say that so he would get all that publicity and all the people he would get all these callers.
Dude. He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
Smart dude for doing that.
That's the reason why.
Yeah.
And part of what has always been Howard Eskin is he's knowledgeable. Yeah, he can be a little bit of a jerk at times, but that's the other side that comes into it is Howard Eskin's well respected throughout the industry. One of the most respected guys at what he does, around the industry in any city, covering sports in any city.
Yeah.
And Skip Bayless is the complete opposite. Skip Bayless has worked in Dallas. Skip Bayless has worked in multiple media, markets. Skip Bayless is viewed as somebody that's full of hot air, talks out of his ass, is an attention whore in a lot of ways, just wants to say things to get the attention on him, to get the spotlight on him, and he's a weasel. When it really comes down to if you were to pressure him, elaborate on your point. Why is that the case? Why is this the case? Stephen A. Smith used to do it all the time. Skip Bayless is a weasel. He's just somebody that has understood how to get a reaction out of the public, and that's what's made his career go as long as it is.
Howard Eskin.
But Howard Eskin's respected, and Bayless isn't.
No, he is because he proved his point on a lot of calls that he had.
Okay, and that's fine.
But Skip Bayless never called anything.
For whatever reason, Skip Bayless isn't respected the way Howard Eskin is.
Right. I agree.
It's the Rundown, A2DRadio.com, brought to you by Liberty Event Rentals, 267-314-7368, 2154 East Cambria Street. Go to the website, libertyeventrentals.com, for all your party needs.
You're listening to the worldwide leader of Real Talk, A2DRadio.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink, and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there. A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215 369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
The Rundown, only on A2DRadio.com.
This is the Rundown on A2DRadio.com, brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City. Located minutes off of exit 37 of the Parkway. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think at BMW of Atlantic City. Go to bmwofatlanticcity.com or give them a call, 609-568-9200. I believe I read that correctly. Maybe 619-568-9200. Why are my numbers not correct on our advertising sheets? Who does this to me? It's a problem. Here we go. BMW of Atlantic City. 609-568-9200. Who's responsible, most responsible, what is most responsible, I should say, for the Eagles' 2-0 hot start? Carson Wentz, Doug Pederson, Eagles defense, playing bad football teams. I actually think it's a combination of all those things.
Let me say one thing.
We've beat bad football teams, but we've looked really, really good beating those bad football teams. We've looked like a good football team beating a bad football team.
Carson Wentz is getting popped.
He is.
And when he knows he's getting popped, he's still getting the ball 25 yards down the field to Jordan Matthews or to Nelson Aguilar or to the one of Selleck. He got smoked across the middle, and he got that little tight window to Brent Selleck. I mean, some of them
it's been impressive, those throws that he can make, but he needs to – that's where I talk about – those are the types of growing pains I'll talk about with Carson Wentz. Maybe it's not the normal growing pains of what, you see from some young quarterbacks. But, yeah, he's been able to make throws as he's getting hit. But at the same time, he needs to learn how to get the ball, and this will happen as the season goes on. He'll be able to get the ball out a split second earlier than he already is, and that'll help him avoid taking those big shots to the wrist.
Yeah, but he knows he's getting popped. He only has a certain amount of time.
Well, see, and that's also part of it too. Is as a quarterback being able to stand in there, knowing you're going to take that shot and make the throw. That part of it, you clearly see he can do that. But it doesn't mean you want him standing in there.
And I want to
taking those shots as he makes those throws.
Let you guys in a little secret. He's not going to be the way he is the last 2 games of what you saw. Okay. There's going to be times, and you're talking about growing pains, there's going to be times that he's going to be making some dopey throws across the middle that's going to be tipped or picked off that he should never have brought in the second double coverage. Just prepare yourself.
That throw,
because then there's going to be a lot of Eagles fans and are going to say, "Oh my God, what kind of read was that?" Or they're going to go and already they're going to bash.
Well,
it's part of the process.
You're going to start playing more.
Well, film. You got film on you,
I'm trying to think of the right word. More complex defensive schemes.
Yeah.
The Browns were a really, really young football team. Looked lost at times. The Bears are
They had 23 new guys.
A ton of really young players. They're the youngest team in football. The Bears ran a really, really just vanilla defense. Super simple. They don't do anything to try to confuse you. They don't do anything to try to disguise blitzes or anything like that, disguise coverages, anything like that, that you would think if you're facing a young quarterback, you'd want to do. The Steelers are going to do all of that. The Steelers are going to disguise coverages. They're going to disguise blitzes. They're going to throw one look at you out of one formation, one play, or one drive, and then the very next drive show you the same look and do something completely different. Everything that good defenses do when they're trying to confuse young quarterbacks, the Steelers are going to do. And Carson Wentz, we're going to see him make adjustments on the fly. We're going to see him learn on the fly. We're going to see him probably have some moments where he looks really good, and we're probably going to have some moments where he'll be like, whoops, that was one of the first rookie mistakes we've seen him make.
I watched some film yesterday. I watched some film clips a little bit.
Sean's watching film.
I am watching film.
Ryan had the film going, and you sat down and was like, all right, show me, break it down for me. What's going on here?
I watched film yesterday. It was the Steelers versus the Browns, right? And they were little clips, okay? And I'm going to tell you.
Where'd you get this film from?
It's.
You got like a game film?
I can get it for you on the phone.
You got game?
No, they're just little clips. No. They're
you don't have like access to the game film from the film room?
No.
I'd be like, Ryan?
No, I don't have any of that.
I need the information for my show on Friday. Bring me home that game film.
I don't have none of that. But I'm going to tell you.
Why not?
Some of the clips that on there that I saw.
He's just ignoring me, Ralph.
Were the Steelers, as far as their defense scheme goes, when you spread the wide receiver out, right, they give up a lot of yards. And what I mean by a lot of yards is the dink and dank 6 yard.
Yeah.
The dink and dank 8 yards. Because when you're spreading them out and you have, a button hook, you know what a button hook route is?
I'm an idiot, Sean. I don't know what a button hook is.
You're having a button hook route come in, you come back to the ball. A lot of them, you're dink and dank, but you're getting 6 yards, all right? So so Wentz goes like this, and then just say we'll have Brent Selk come in and do a button hook. Boom, Brent Selk, 6 yards, right? Then you're going to go and boom.
You can hurt him with that all day.
All day long.
Yeah.
Pluck, straight down the field. But when you're spreading them wide out. So this is what I think Doug Pederson's going to do, kind of like what he did in the first half. He didn't have really a run game in the first half because, if you remember, the first drive. I mean,
6 passing plays in a row. And they were
straight down the field.
And they were all little hitches,
That's
too.
what I'm saying. Yeah. And the Steelers, by this film that I watched, right, last night, and I could probably show you where it's at, like legit in person. But when you go and look at that film, okay, you're going to see that if the Browns are going to go away, come on, the Browns. The Browns were getting.
The Browns gave up a 20-point lead to Baltimore. That's how bad of a football team they are.
I understand.
How about that? They go up 20-0 with Josh McCown
at halftime,
and the Ravens come back and win because the Browns stink.
Now they
got Browns are terrible.
Now they got to have Cody Kessler start. Should have took Connor Cook, but
there's some people think they're going to pull the upset over Miami this weekend. I don't see that happening. Miami plays real defense.
They got Mario Williams, Ndamukong Suh there.
How about the people that
Brett
took
Grimes?
How about the people that took the line in that Miami New England game? That line was 6.5, Sean. Mm-hmm. New England was 6.5-point favorites in that Miami New England game last week, and New England won by a touchdown. So there was people that took. All right, I'll take the Dolphins with 6.5 by a half a point. You lose.
Yeah,
you lose. This is why I don't, actually bet with real money. I just make the picks. I look at the spreads and make the picks. If I get too cute when I make picks. Like I'm picking the Bills over the Cardinals this weekend because desperate football team, home underdog. The Cardinals are only favored by 4.5. The Cardinals are as good as they looked last week. I mean, we thought Tampa was going to give them a game.
Here's a little clip, right?
I don't want to see your little clip.
I'm just saying, it's only a little clip. You're going to see with the Browns.
Boy.
These are just little clips.
Sean's going to go Ron Jaworski on me. Yeah, when you get that straight, let me know.
Let me see. Come sit next to me. I want to watch.
No, we're not going to be sitting on each other's lap as the
just
show goes on, and we're watching shows. We're watching clips.
It's these little dink and dank. Boom.
Okay.
Complete. Over here. I mean, you're just it's nonstop. I'll show you later on, but there's these little clips that I have.
They were probably also playing defense where they were challenging the Browns to throw the ball more than 15 yards down the field.
No,
because they're like, we don't think you're going to be able to throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field.
It's just getting like 3rd and 5. It's how to on 3rd and 5 when they're blitzing. Like Carson Wentz is on the money on 3rd and 5 or 4th and 4. When it comes to these guys blitzing. Yep. He's been on the money. But what I'm saying is these little plays, if you can go and get little button hooks and you go, as far as screen passes, just little plays like that, I think that the Eagles are going to take advantage of the situation. Now, like I said, the Steelers are
Like I said before when we came back, if you think Mike Tomlin's going to lose to an Eagles rookie head coach and Eagles rookie quarterback, you're stupid.
Well,
he's bringing the house every time on Carson Wentz.
I think Tomlin's going to have a good game plan. I think this is going to be this is obviously the biggest challenge that Carson Wentz has faced early on in his career. You're going to actually have to see him make, legit in-game adjustments, adjust on the fly, which I think he's 100% capable of. We've seen that. But they're going to try to confuse him. This Steelers defense is not vanilla like the Browns and the Bears was. They're going to throw disguised coverages at him. They're going to try to throw disguised blitzes at him.
They're going to be running the ball up.
They're going to throw
they
one
always
look.
run the ball up.
They're going to throw a look at him on one drive and do something, and then throw the same look at him on the next drive and do something completely different. All these things that a good defense tries to do to confuse a young quarterback. Now, I will say this.
Now, are you going to put Nolan Carroll on Antonio Brown?
Oh my God!
I don't think you can cover Antonio Brown 1-on-1.
No, but
I need a double cover.
You're putting Nolan.
Well, I think Carroll obviously is our best corner, so he'll be one of the guys over there.
Are you going to switch? You're going to put Jalen Mills on?
No, hell no. I don't even want Jalen Mills on the field, but unfortunately, he got to be.
First off, how's everybody?
The boss is here, and the boss is on the mic.
We're 2-0, boys. We're 2-0, and we're doing big things here. And you got to be excited.
Look how excited!
And listen, all I got to say is, you can't have it both ways with people. There's a lot of people out here that some people work for this company too that want to still stay down the middle because they don't want to be wrong on the situation, right? And guess what? You can't do. You can't base the success on Carson Wentz and his football team just strictly off the Pittsburgh Steelers game. It's not fair because most power rankings have them number one in all the NFL.
Absolutely.
We're talking about what's the difference between good and great, boys. When I talk about this football team, I say it's a good football team.
Right.
I never once said great. This is a 10-6, 9-7 football team in my eyes, right? There's a difference. So you can't compare good to a team that most experts have is great, right?
But our point is,
I don't even know what you're talking about. I've been driving around the whole time. I got excited.
Our point is,
but isn't it so the air is so much fresher without Chip Kelly?
No question. The stench is gone.
It's fresh.
The stench is gone. The racism's gone.
Right? Yeah.
Supposedly.
The point of this Steelers.
Unless you live in Charlotte.
The point of this Steelers football game is this is actually this is a good football team. This.
Oh hell yeah.
The Steelers are a legit Super Bowl contender in the AFC.
Zach. Right? Hold on real quick. The only way they're not is by one guy. If Ben goes down, like he's done a lot recently, that's the only thing keeping them from being a contender. Yeah. So we know that
if Fletcher Cox goes and rings his bell, it's
done.
But the one question we were asking is,
ask away.
Now you already had him at 10-6, so a little bit of an unfair question for you. But the majority of where you had maybe some people in the minority that were going 5 wins, 6 wins.
You know why 10,
that were being haters.
You know why 10.
And you think,
real quick,
you think
the other
divisions,
side of that football, who's given up 12 points a game so far through 2 games. That's why I have it as a 10-win team. The defense wins.
Well, and you think the division's bad and that, maybe this is an 8-win team, but every year you have a couple games that you steal a win in. Yeah. And you look later on in the schedule and say you can steal a win here. And that's the other side of it is for me, I thought coming into the year 10 wins was what was going to win this division. Now I'm looking at this division, I'm saying
9, bro.
8 wins could win this division.
It's tough.
9 wins I think definitely wins the division.
Boys, you know
but
why
8 could win the division.
You know why 8's tough? Because you have 2 teams at 2-0 already.
Yeah.
And 2 that I consider good football teams.
Yeah,
the New York Giants are a good football team.
No, it could come back and hurt them.
I don't love them. I don't love that team. Their offensive line's weak. Yeah. Their defense is better. And you got to give credit to a better defense.
And you weren't sold after week 1, but they looked impressive against New Orleans. That defense looked really good.
New Orleans on the road, and we know how they're different on the road. But let's see more. But you got to be we're talking. Swing it back to the Eagles. You got to be excited. And let's talk about your boy for a second, right? Because this is what I love. This is smart coaching 101, right? Smart effing coaching 101 is not wear down a back that you need 10 through 16, right?
Dude, he's money in the red zone.
And that's
in the red zone. It's a red zone. If you give 24 the ball 4 times in the red zone, you're getting in.
That could end up.
You're getting in.
That could end up being one of the most vital things of this year.
Keep him fresh.
And I'll tell you why that's spot on, Tommy, because this year, when's our bye week?
Next week.
Week 4.
Week 4.
That's a really early bye week.
It is.
You're playing 13 straight weeks of football coming out of that bye week. 13 straight weeks of football. I mean, by 10 weeks into that, I mean, you're going to find out who's fresh, who's not, who's worn down, who's not.
I think Ryan's tied for the lead with 3, right? For rushing touchdowns.
So you need to keep somebody like him as fresh as possible.
What did he get? How many carries did he get last week? 10?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot.
9.
He didn't touch the ball a lot at all.
He got 22 the first week, 9.
And
that's
you need to keep him fresh now.
We talk about his offense being successful. we look right in the backfield, right? We look at a former Pro Bowl running back, a guy with a shit ton of talent, and the only thing that ever kept this guy from being a Pro Bowl year in and year out
is
it's just injuries.
Yeah.
So we look, and if I'm Doug Pederson in my head, I say early bye week, like Zach's talking about. I say I got Kenyon Barner who can run the ball, and I got Sproles who can run the ball.
We're playing the worst quarterback in football, and Jay Cutler.
So why am I gonna?
I don't even need to play Ryan Matthews.
Why
Hell.
am I gonna wear him out 20 carries?
Do you know Ryan has the most carries in the NFL in the red zone?
Yeah,
and that's where you need him.
Bro, he's a power back.
Now you're getting in, bro. You're getting in. If it's the sweep, whatever you want to do, you're getting
Tommy,
in.
while we're here, because you have the Eagles winning this football game. I know you. You have them winning this football game going 3-0.
Listen, hot's hot.
What's the score?
Yeah. I'm not in love with the Steelers D either. Their secondary's tough. I mean, tough in terms of bad.
Yeah.
Like they're a bad
Yo,
secondary.
Tom,
their front seven,
know.
good football team. Their back four, I'm not in love with. Now, I'm not saying there's not talent there, but they do themselves a lot of help.
And make what I said before
I think they're better in a little bit better in their secondary than we are in our secondary.
Oh, I disagree
but
with
our
that completely.
defenses are similar. We've got really good front sevens. If both of our defenses have a weakness, our weakness would be our secondary, our cornerbacks, not our safety, but our cornerbacks.
I'll agree on that,
our cover corners, and the Steelers' weakness would probably be their cover corners as well.
Before you got here, I was just telling these guys, I watched a little film last night. It was the Browns versus Steelers.
Yeah.
Right? And what the Browns were doing is they were doing these little dink and dunk passes, 6 yards per down, and they were doing button hooks, okay? Outside passes, just little boom, gadget, boom. And they were marching in the field on the Steelers defense. So you look at what Doug Pederson did on the first drive. Okay, what was it? Six passes in a row?
He was 6 for 6.
Carson Wentz, 2 weeks in a row. The first drive as a rookie. Okay, fake handoff coming on the side, boom, right to Ertz, right? Boom, same thing on right to Selleck. He's doing these little, they're getting 4 or 5 yards, boom, boom, boom. They're moving down the field. Okay, they'll run the ball, boom, come down. They're going to be moving the ball against the Steelers. There's no doubt about that.
I agree with that.
There's no doubt about that.
See,
Carson Wentz throwing the run with that Nelson Aguilar was a dime.
See, I think
dime.
I
Dude,
think the Steelers. I think the Steelers win this football game by a field goal.
Matthews should have caught that touchdown pass.
Now, if you would have asked me and if you're telling me the Steelers, who are, and you just said, Tom,
they're a juggernaut.
In a lot of people's power rankings,
they're a juggernaut.
In a lot of people's power rankings, they're ranked as the top team in football right now. So if you're losing to what is ranked as the top team in football by a field goal, I mean, that puts us ahead of where I think we were before the year. If you asked me before the year, I think we lose this game by at least a touchdown, maybe 10 points.
All right, here you go.
Now I think we're losing this game by a field goal.
You want to hear it?
I got something for you.
I got 24-21 Eagles. Listen, maybe even 24-17. I mean, this defense is that good. And I'm going to continue to go back to it.
But hold on, though. Let me ask you this, though.
The game's at home.
Because
home dogs, I'm a big fan of.
See, that is the one thing. They are the home dog.
You got to look all
They are the home dog, and that's the one thing where you look at that line, and that should scare you if you're a Steelers fan.
Why else do I like the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me give you another reason, Ralph. You ready? One, who did the Steelers just play? Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Who's the Steelers' biggest rival in all football? The Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Right?
So you think that wore them down?
That's a tough physical game. Now you got to get up. Now, it plays two parts. The Eagles after a Monday night win. We know how teams are after a Monday night. It's tough to get back up again.
Right.
But when you combine both of these teams playing in similar big-time games, right, so you can sort of wash that away in a way. So that evens it out. But when I talk about this defense giving up 12 points a game so far throughout the year and the fact that they can go get you, listen, I think – if you can, if you blanket Antonio and you make Marcus Williams beat you.
But how do you blank Antonio?
Make Jesse James beat you. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz probably has a game plan on how to slow the guy down. Listen, he's going to get his catches. I
agree with that.
He's going to get his yards at the end of the day.
Listen, you make open field tackles.
Yeah.
And that was a weakness against Chicago. We missed too many open field tackles against Chicago.
20, so big thing. But I think we win this football game, and I think we can win it by 7. I just think we're tough, man. I think when you start you start gaining confidence in this league and you start believing in guys next to you, I think it shocked the world. And I think it puts every jerk-off expert out there on notice after this week. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to officially put people on notice. And I'll tell you, your eyes tell you everything, Zach. And when you watch this
Football
kid,
Focus already released the report that Wentz has been the best quarterback in football through 2 weeks.
They've been on point. Remember, Sean, a couple weeks ago when I was telling you how Pro Football Focus had the Eagles as top 5 roster in all football?
Yeah.
So Pro Football Focus has been on the bandwagon here for a minute. But when you look at the kid, forget what Pro Football Focus says. Forget all the rest. When you look at a kid and you watch him stand in the pocket and make big-time throws with pressure in his face.
Dude, he reminds me of Rodgers.
That's what you see.
He reminds me of Aaron Rodgers.
Wow.
I said that before the show.
Yeah, what happens in the locker room?
He's getting like the Rodgers comparison. Because Rodgers there's a lot of cuteness with Rodgers.
The brain.
Take out the comparison.
The brain.
Take out the comparisons. He looks like a pro.
Yeah, for me, that's
he looks like a
right,
pro.
Like, Rodgers
you
gets,
have Hall of
Rodgers
Famers
gets
saying
very
Carson
cute.
Wentz looks like a 10-time veteran, like
Right.
a 10-year veteran.
All right, let me ask
Rodgers
you-
gets
well,
very
let me
cute
ask
with
you a
the
question.
position.
I'm out.
Wentz doesn't
One
get
question,
cute.
I'm out, right? What does that do for a locker room? What does it do for all the guys in that
Well,
locker
brings
room?
all that
I'll answer-
confidence.
When
hold
they
on.
see a kid
I'll answer that
taking
question
hits,
for you simply.
Right, taking hits.
Listen,
and-
Tom, I'll answer that question for
Wow.
you plain and simple. This is plain and simple for you because we'll compare it to a division rival at the moment. Okay? Washington right now, and their whole locker room apparently wants Colt McCoy to start at quarterback
They're a clusterfuck.
on Sunday.
They always have been.
Let me
hold
say
on,
this.
though.
Daniel Snyder never lets anything
No,
play out.
but-
Go ahead.
well,
He never lets anything play out.
But this is what I've been
I'm
saying.
not Mr. Kirk Cousins, real quick.
Right.
I'm not Mr. Kirk
But
Cousins.
see,
but you don't franchise the goddamn guy and give him $20 million and then panic, which is typical Washington Redskins shit.
I don't think they're panicking.
Well,
I
it's
think-
Daniel Snyder.
Well,
I'll tell
no,
you what it is.
listen. I'm telling you because I've read some
I've been away.
I've read some inside reports on this, and by inside reports I obviously mean NFL.
I know that's your guy too. I'm gonna stick off.
I obviously mean NFL experts, people that do this and are supposed to know a lot more than anybody in this room knows. Skip Bayless is supposed to know a lot more than anybody in this room knows too, but he doesn't. So take that for what it's worth.
My dog could
But
probably has more.
you know what I mean? But like. I've read a lot of inside reports from NFL experts around the league, and this is why you heard me talk about this today, Sean and Ralph, and over the past couple weeks. Daniel Snyder hired Scott McLaughlin to be the GM there in Washington because he trusts McLaughlin enough to make all those moves where Snyder can finally stay away from things. The reason RG3's out the picture is because Snyder's out the picture. The reason...
Is he?
Well, more than he was before. I mean, this is the guy that when they drafted RG3, he was given RG3 access, RG3 and his wife access to his private limo.
I'm going to give you a Brady. When
you know what I'm saying?
When I baby you, that's my Tom Brady. Like, baby.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen. At the end of the day, who writes his checks?
That's fine.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. No, but you got to understand what I'm saying with that,
I
okay?
understand that he's taking a step away a little bit. I got
right, well, they brought in McLaughlin, according to the NFL experts, the people that, that are involved in being talent evaluators around the league.
Okay.
McLaughlin, when he was away from football, he was involved in the Seahawks front office when they drafted pretty much every piece that became a part of that Super Bowl team.
Gotcha.
Before that, he was a part of the 49ers, drafting all the pieces that were there right before Harbaugh got there.
Okay, Navarro, Patrick
Right,
Willis,
all those guys. He left because he was an alcoholic. And left football to go get, some help with his alcohol problem. And while he was away from football, he was running his own talent evaluation firm out of his house, where football teams and general managers around football were paying his firm money to evaluate the talent on college and say, okay, you want to draft this kid, you want to draft him this round, hey, this kid's going to be a steal, you should take him here. Like, that's how respected this guy is. And that's why he was brought into Washington. I feel like Washington 5 years ago, they would have given Kirk Cousins $100 million. Washington 5 years ago, anything that could have gone wrong, any type of player, you saw the defensive tackle, Haynesworth, that they brought in. You had RG3 there. All of these things didn't work out because you got Snyder.
He's been
going
doing that
around,
for years, bro.
Right, you've got Snyder since he's been there going around. For example, they draft RG3, and he gives him and his wife private access to use his private company car to go anywhere around D.C. that he wants. And, like that's not going to rub everybody else on the team the wrong way. Like, are we serious right now? You know what I'm saying? So they've got McLaughlin in there to pretty much not make the bad decisions that regimes from Redskins past have made. It's one thing to not make those bad decisions. It's another thing to become a winning franchise and have a winning attitude, and that clearly is a franchise that still doesn't have a winning attitude, and that hasn't changed.
So what happens is this. Saying the Eagles are up by 2. We'll say they get a safety. Eagles will win the game by 2. Right?
They're minus 3.5 now. By the way, that line's dropped to minus 3.5, not minus 5.
There's 50 seconds left in the game. Ben Roethlisberger marches down the field. Pittsburgh Steelers kicks 3 seconds left, kicks game-winning field goal. They win by a point. Are you going to be happy with the Eagles?
If the Steelers win by a point, absolutely.
That's what I'm getting at. The worst-case scenario, if they lose by a last-second, 3-second field goal to the Steelers, are you going to be satisfied?
Yeah,
I'm not going to be angry. I don't expect us to beat the Steelers. I'll be fired up if we do.
Blow the doors off of this. You understand?
Yeah. Right.
Like, my 10-6 doesn't waver off a loss to the Steelers.
Yeah.
It only solidifies it if they win. It only makes more sense now to the national. And like what Sean said, if it's a dogfight and they stay in it,
Now, see,
kudos. But listen, You don't get nothing for staying in it. This is pro football. For us at home,
it's not a moral victory.
Yeah, like we get
but
a
it's
moral
something that you look at and you say, okay, that was one of the best teams in football. That
and we gave them a run.
Some people thought we were going to be middle of the pack. We're a 6 or 7 win team this year. This proves what you've been saying, that this is a top 10 roster in football. That this is a team that's better than people think.
How about the other side, right, Sean? Say they're up 3, okay, or say they're up 2. However it works out. Say Pittsburgh's up 2, and the kid goes on a 50-second drive for a game-winning field goal. So how does that level the other way? Now we're up here. Now the level of excitement.
Well, there's going to be everyone saying Super Bowl. That's what it'll be. There's going to be a little crazy. Now, I would say that I think the Eagles would win the division. If they go 3-0 and they could beat teams like Detroit, okay, Seattle, which they have no offense, which I agree with what you said. You said that
I would rather play them now than later on.
Seattle has no offense. They can't score, which I agree. It's Week 12. It's a lot different from now to Week 12. I 100% agree. But if you go and you catch Seattle and they can't score on you, and you said that the Eagles, are giving up 12 or averaging 12 points, but say happens if it's around that time, Week 12, okay, and the Eagles have a chance of beating a team in Seattle.
That's when you want to play our best
and they
football.
lose to Green Bay. We'll say they lose to Green Bay, and they wind up beating Cincinnati, which I think out of all them games, I think Cincinnati's a team that we can definitely beat.
I agree.
Is the Bengals, yeah. So
see, now I'm a little bit different. If
we can steal one of those games.
If we get blown out in this football game, I'll be a little disappointed because I feel like we've played too well over the first couple weeks. I still don't see the 10 wins on the schedule, but this football team's playing better football earlier on than I thought they would.
Well, I think this defense makes a statement, and I'm out. I think this defense makes a statement and proves to everybody around the league.
They can't keep giving up them. Listen,
this is a top 5 defense in football, and this week they proved that.
We keep getting,
but listen,
we got beat down the field a little bit too much.
That's what I was getting at. You can't have, Antonio Brown's going to get his. Des Bryant's going to get his. These elite receivers. Odell Beckham is going to get his.
What do you do inside the 30?
That's
the question.
Yeah, I agree. They're going to get theirs when it comes to the fly routes, okay? When, come 45 yards or more, they're going to get theirs. Just like what happened this week with Alshon Jeffrey. Got that big-time fly route, and then you got Malcolm Jenkins while I'm slowing him down and stopping him. But they're going to get there. But you have to limit that. You can't have what's his name from the Browns that got two, I think
Terrell Pryor,
a backup quarterback going on. You can't have that, and especially the location. When you have Pryor that are located and it's in triple coverage, you can't have that. That can't happen.
Get your heads turned around in coverage. And
that can't happen.
Absolutely.
I don't care what kind of.
The other thing that concerns me about this football game is, I don't think they're necessarily going to be able to run the football against us, but I'm concerned about our ability to run the football against them because they've got a strong front 7 too. So then for me, it comes down to the passing game.
I got all confidence.
All confidence in the run.
I got all confidence in the run game.
I like 24-21, but I like it the other way. I like 24-21 Pittsburgh. But there's still, that's still a good defensive performance. You played the team tough. It's one of the best teams in football.
Zach, I like when you keep saying the Eagles are going to lose because they win. Yeah. Because at the beginning of the year, you're like, they're going to
start 0-3, and now we're going to start 3-0.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
This has been the Rundown, a2dradio.com. Final commercial coming your way. We're going to come back and break down the spreads. Sean, I know you're looking forward to this every week. This has become your big thing. We'll break down the spreads this week and the football teams and give you our picks. Not that it matters because, I stink at it, but we'll get to it when we come back. We're brought to you by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. 703 Black Horse Pike, Glendora, New Jersey, 856-939-2030. Email sportsoutletnj@comcast.net. Visit the website, sportsoutletinc.com.
Get your skills in shape, then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink, and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there. A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
You're listening to The Rundown, only on A2DRadio.com.
It is The Rundown, A2DRadio.com, brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, Certified Public Accountants, 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, Pennsylvania. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. Remember, the Real Talk Invitational coming up November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club, Blackwood, New Jersey. Check out our tournament event on the Facebook page of A2DRadio.com, the Facebook page. Order tickets through Facebook at A2DRadio.com. Events, 200 Golfview Drive, Blackwood, New Jersey, 856-227-3171. And that is our official sponsor for, I guess, something that maybe is going to end up wrapping up the show each week. Spreads of that week's games. And want to tease some people because we've been teasing it over the past couple weeks off the air, but at some point, maybe, when we, like I said, next week, the show will be Thursday at 1 o'clock because I'll be in Dover next weekend for the NASCAR weekend. I'm all excited to go down there. It's,
You're a Jimmy Johnson fan, right?
No, hell no. I hate Jimmy Johnson. Oh, my God.
My guy was Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, I was always a Jeff Gordon fan. I mean, that's what, he was the guy that kind of made NASCAR, it was the fastest growing spectator sport in the U.S. throughout the 90s, and that was because of Jeff Gordon.
Well, it started out with me and my dad. My dad was a big-time Gordon fan, all because, and it was freakish accident. What happened was my dad's friends, before my dad got into NASCAR, they were all Earnhardt senior fans, and then what happened to him, and then they became junior fans. So Earnhardt and Gordon were rivals. So my dad,
at the same time, Earnhardt was a mentor to Gordon when he was young.
So my dad used to just break these guys' stones. So these guys were all like diehard junior fans. So my dad would say, and senior fans, my dad goes, you know what? I like this guy. Like, didn't even know who Jeff Gordon was. My dad goes, I like this guy. I'm going to root for him just because you guys hate him. So that my dad wound up becoming that fan. And then all of a sudden, my dad's like, man, Jeff Gordon's really good. I'm even a more fan now. But my dad's been a fan when Jeff Gordon first, came online.
Well, that was the funny thing is Dale Earnhardt fans, for whatever reason, a lot of them disliked Jeff Gordon.
Right.
which made no sense because Jeff Gordon was actually one of Dale Earnhardt's like really close friends as far as
that's the
weirdest off
part.
the racetrack went.
Yeah.
When Gordon first started at a young age, Earnhardt saw the talent in him, kind of took him under his wing, said, "Hey kid, I got you." You know what I mean? Taught him how to be a professional, kind of became the mentor to him, and fans eventually ended up figuring that out, and by the time Earnhardt Sr. had died in 01, most of them respected Gordon, but at first they didn't like him. I'm a Brad Keselowski fan because he races old school. He'll race balls to the wall at all times.
And run into the wall?
Not necessarily run, but he's not going to give you any space. He's not going to cut you any slack. He doesn't race for, he races for Penske Racing, which is the same team Rusty Wallace raced for. He drives the old Blue Deuce that Rusty had. But it's not Rick Hendrick, who has the best equipment in the game. It's not Joe Gibbs, who has the best equipment in the game.
On Friday?
Well, that's the truck race. That's at like 3:45 or something that afternoon.
Yeah, you definitely ain't making that.
You
would definitely not make the show.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be making the show. But, yeah, so I wanted to go down there for the NASCAR weekend. I'm also a big Kyle Larson fan now, and anybody that watches NASCAR knows who that is. He's one of the younger kids in the sport, 24 years old, his third year. I'm telling you, because you remember watching Jeff Gordon when he was young. This kid, Larson.
He has that talent?
He is going to be the polarizing talent that in 10 years, NASCAR is going to go through another growth movement like it did with Gordon in the 90s. Two names are going to be responsible for that. Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott is Bill Elliott's son, who's now a 20-year-old phenom, and of course you would remember Bill Elliott.
He was on
from back in the
SportsCenter
day.
the other day.
Yeah. Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott are going to grow the sport into the future, and the sport's going to go through another growth movement like it did in the 90s because of those two. Larson has got out of this world talent. I don't know, and he races for Chip Ganassi Racing, which obviously isn't a top team. It's an above-average team that he's now elevated to a winning level. And those two are going to be a lot of in the racing, the rules package in general. They've got lower down. They've got lower downforce packages. They've kind of lowered the horsepower and all that, so it's created better racing, more side-by-side racing, more passing. It's what racing is supposed to be. Like if you've ever raced go-karts on a go-kart track, like that's old school racing. Actually having to race somebody and not just who has the most souped-up, transformer car. This is racing, and the racing itself is better than it's ever been, and that's going to help. But those things combined are going to help it grow.
The tailgates there are insane.
Oh, it's absolutely insane. It's like going to a state fair. I mean, you go there, you got people playing cornhole,
Dude,
and washers.
you bring the beer in right in
you can bring your own cooler and just walk in, and tickets are $25. You bring your own cooler of beer. It's phenomenal. It's a bunch of crazy, NASCAR fans that just get, fired up about nothing pretty much. I mean, like, they're fired up before it even gets going. Like, before the race is even going, like, they're crazier an hour before the race starts than they are during the race. Yeah. I mean, it's just like who can get – it's a kind of a competition of who can get drunk the most. Who can get the most drunk before the race starts.
But I think a lot of NASCAR fans, they go just because they want to see a big crash.
No.
A lot of them, they do.
I can tell you that –
they want to see wipeouts.
Uneducated NASCAR fans. I can tell you this as a hardcore NASCAR fan. The people that are there that actually appreciate the racing, that are hardcore NASCAR fans – They appreciate the racing side of it. It's some of the ignorant people that are sitting at home, maybe watching it on a Sunday in July because there's nothing else on Sunday afternoon at that moment. So let me watch this. Maybe a big wreck will happen. It'll be exciting because they don't actually understand what good racing is compared to bad racing or average racing. Hardcore fans get the racing side of it and actually look at it and be like, wow, look how good the racing is today. I really want to watch this. Get to these spreads real quick. We'll run it down. Houston, New England obviously happened last night. Houston was a 1.5-point favorite against New England. I took Houston. A lot of people took Houston.
Me too.
If Jimmy Garoppolo was playing, I would have taken.
What, on a pool?
I took Houston in the spread in a pool playing against the spread. I took Houston minus the 1.5. I thought they would win the game outright. If Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback for the Patriots, maybe things would have changed, but. Because it was Brissett, I took the Texans.
It was all scheme,
and it was.
I mean, you look at the one touchdown. It was a rollout. It was what was that? A 20-yard run, Ralph?
Yeah.
The fake, and it was when it came up to 10-0. Mm-hmm. It was a fake rollout and ran into the pylon for a touchdown. So I think it was what was that? A 21-yard run, 22-yard run, the first touchdown for Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like Eric Blount had a big day.
The fake play action.
Yeah, Brissett ran,
yeah.
close to 20 yards or whatever it was. I really thought Houston was at least going to. I mean, to get beat 27-0 was just ridiculous.
Go down the list for this week, the spreads.
But
read it off and see what you think.
You mentioned it earlier. Bill Belichick, probably the greatest coach in NFL history at this point.
He is.
It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Carolina, Minnesota. That's a phenomenal matchup this weekend. In Carolina, the Panthers are 6.5-point favorites. A lot of people taking Minnesota in this game.
I'm actually going to think
Carolina.
This is the week that Sam Bradford's going to throw a dope game. Meaning a really bad game. I think I think that game's going to be Carolina. I do.
I think Carolina wins by a touchdown. If it's minus 6.5, I'll take Carolina by at least a touchdown, maybe 10 points.
So Carolina's going to win.
Yeah, I think Carolina wins that game.
I mean, cover the spread.
I think they win the game and they cover that spread.
That's what I'm saying. I agree.
Carolina hasn't looked the best. They let San Fran make a late run at them last week, but without Adrian Peterson, that's going to be tough. I think. That's a. I
think Bradford's.
That's a 24-17 football game, something like that.
I see a couple turnovers for Bradford.
24-14, something along those lines. Ralph, who you got in that game?
Carolina.
You got Carolina to cover that. You like Carolina to cover it.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be wrong, and Minnesota will probably cover this game.
Watch Minnesota.
Yeah. Do you know I went 5 for 6 last week? The only game I lost was Green Bay.
Wow.
And
really?
what happened? It was Minnesota. So I think you're right. Minnesota could give me the shaft, but they gave me the shaft last week because I would have won $200 last week, but didn't win.
Green Bay and Detroit.
Oh my God!
Green Bay is minus 7.5. I think that's way too many points to give the Packers against Detroit. I actually got to go back and do some research.
I actually did 2 college games. You're going to be proud of me, guys. I did 2 college games.
I took Detroit in this game
last week, right?
Because I thought that was too many points.
I took Temple to cover, and they covered against Penn State.
Temple stinks.
I'm just saying, I took them to cover, and they covered. Mm-hmm. I took them to cover with the points. I didn't take them to win the game outright. And I took Temple, and Notre Dame played
Michigan State.
And I took Michigan State.
And my team won.
Yeah.
Speaking of teams that stink.
I took them both. Yeah.
Who?
Both of them. What? They both stink. Do you really think Michigan State will do anything in the Big Ten this year?
What?
Would you stop it?
You're
between Michigan and Ohio State, you're dumb. You think
we blew out Notre Dame 36-7.
And Michigan
and
Notre Dame stinks.
Dude,
Notre Dame stinks.
You're crazy.
Notre Dame is terrible.
Okay.
Notre Dame is so underwhelming. No, hold on.
I took the point.
Who do you watch on Saturdays?
Hold on, because I'm not going to.
Who do you watch on Saturdays?
And we need to burn a few minutes anyway, Mr. Sitsudi. So let me tell you something.
Hold on. Who do you watch on Saturdays?
No, let me tell you something.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
Let me tell you something. Notre Dame. Kelly's a great head coach over there. Okay, his assistants stink. Donkey balls, okay? He has promoted his assistants, his coordinators, from different coaching positions on his staff. Notre Dame is the example, the definition of a team that has offensive and defensive coordinators that have no business being anything other than position coaches. Their coordinators stink. And you want to tell me about Michigan State blowing that football team out. Between Michigan and Ohio State in the Big Ten this year, Nebraska looks improved with Riley. They brought in the head coach. Who
the hell has Michigan played, dude? Who the hell has Michigan played?
They don't need to play anybody.
Dude, they played 5 home straight games, dude. They played.
Would you stop?
Dude, the NCAA,
Jim Harbaugh.
Dude,
Jim
the
Harbaugh.
NCAA
No, you
is
stop.
sucking Michigan right now, dude. Dude, you're crazy.
That's fine. Dude, you're crazy. I'm destroying you right now.
How are you destroying
I'm destroying you right now.
Dude, Michigan's playing 5 home games straight.
The points, baby. The points.
Who gives a crap? Jim Harbaugh came in there in year 1 last year. See, this is college football, okay? This is the difference that a good coach and a good staff makes, okay? No difference in the recruiting. Well, what's his name was there? Who was the idiot? Brady Hoke.
We need a camera
Shut up,
here
Sean.
see
Shut up,
that.
Sean. We'll have a camera at some point.
This would be
We're going to have a
hilarious
camera
right
for
now.
Facebook Live, okay? You be quiet for 1 minute, okay? Because when Brady Hoke was at Michigan, and Brady Hoke was supposed to be the big deal there, they still had top 10 recruiting classes. They still had top talent coming in the door. The problem is they had a terrible coaching staff that didn't coach up the talent to the level that it needed to be coached up to. And as a result, they stunk. Jim Harbaugh comes in there and in 1 year turns them into a 10-win program. All because you've got coaches.
I can't wait for Facebook Live.
All because you've got coaches that are professional coaches, a professional coaching staff. It's the same reason why Miami's going to win at least 10 games this year. Because Mark Richt is now in there. They've got a professional coaching staff. And I wouldn't be surprised if Brad Kaya, Miami's quarterback, ends up being the top quarterback to go in the draft next year.
Do you know what
it's
I
going
love
to be
doing?
him. It's going to be Deshaun Watson. It's going to be Chad Kelly. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kaya's the one that goes.
I love taking.
It's all because of Mark Richt.
I love taking the
I don't know
points.
about Chad Kelly no more.
I love taking the points.
He needs to look better than he has.
My method of madness is this. If I think a team has a possibility,
Ralph's over here giving me
a
cramps.
chance, if I think a team has a possibility and chance to win the game outright and they're getting points, take the points.
Absolutely.
Okay? That's my method of madness, and I always do that. And, last week I went 5 out of 6.
I always try to get too
that.
cute sometimes with this. Like I explained last week, we were doing a suicide poll here at the station. Week 1, you can't use a team more than once.
Yeah.
So if I pick the Cardinals or the Patriots week 1 or whatever,
I know how it
I
goes.
can't pick them later on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'll get cute a little bit in week 1. I want to save my good football team
You
for
also
later
got
on.
cute beginning of the year, and you said the Eagles were going to go 0-3.
See,
I love when you get
This
cute.
is what I do. I try to get cute.
It's fun.
And
Just
instead
keep
of
on
being
saying the Eagles will lose every week.
And instead of being
Yeah.
intelligent
Be undefeated.
and being smart, well, I had us winning last week. Even though I initially picked the start 0-3, I had us winning because I liked the line. But y'all two picked them to win.
I really
so
hope
I
they
just
win
picked
this
them to lose.
week.
But the line said they were going to win.
So they go 3-0. So we can always say, "Hey Zach, 3-0, not 0-3."
Yeah, but a lot of times, but both of you guys have been here, and you can admit to this. There's been times I've said something, maybe it sounded a little bit cute at the time, but it's been 100% spot on.
Like
you know what I mean?
Like what?
Right now, I'm too worked up about his Michigan State Notre Dame thing, but we've all been there. You know what I mean? We've all sat there.
It's called predictions.
But we've all sat there and made that. And if you make a
Everybody's
prediction,
going to be wrong sometimes, Zach.
you can't make a prediction and like you can't not be cute when you make a prediction. Sometimes if you're going to make predictions, at
You
times
keep
you have
saying
to
that
get
we're
cute.
cute.
Well, you do. At times you got to get cute, right? Like the people that picked Oakland to win the AFC West this year, and thought, okay, yeah, they could be asleep in the AFC and go make a run to the AFC title game. Now Denver looks like they're going to be. Denver looks like they're going to be right there again, and Oakland, it's going to be a good football team.
The reason why they
but
did that
maybe
because
not quite as good as we
didn't
thought.
know the quarterback that they were going to have.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Right. But we sat here, right, and you talked about the Broncos having a worse quarterback situation in football. All of a sudden, they look pretty damn good with Trevor Siemian.
And that defense
so they're fine.
is stud.
You got to get cute with predictions sometimes. There was people that were getting cute picking the Jaguars to go win the AFC North, not the North, to win the AFC South. Over the Colts and Tennessee and Houston and everybody else that's in that division, and they picked the Jaguars.
That's
a crappy. Now the Jaguars.
Well, you want to know what's funny?
You want to talk about the AFC South? The AFC South is a crappy division.
That's a crappy division. Now hold on. I'll use this since we're going on with our spreads. And we'll get to this game a little bit later on. Actually, a couple games down the road, the Buffalo-Arizona game, and I'll give you my little spin on this. But what do I keep talking about, right? And I say, okay, Rex Ryan, does a lot of talking, gets a bad rep for it, goes 8-8 as the Jets coach with Geno Smith, right? Goes 8-8 last year with the Bills. That's an accomplishment in Buffalo. That's progress. Then meanwhile, you look down the list and you look at a team like Jacksonville, right? Who was supposed to take that next step this year. Got the offense, got Blake Bortles, got Allen Robinson, got these good
their
receivers.
defense in fantasy, and they
You know what I mean?
done anything for me.
That is a poorly coached football team. Do you realize since Gus Bradley took over as head coach, I think they've scored a total of 3 touchdowns in the first quarter?
Yeah.
They've scored a combined 21 first quarter points since he took over as head coach.
And they had, what's his name, that cornerback?
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey. Yeah.
This was my point where I say, okay, coaches, you talk about coaches that are overwhelmed, that just aren't good coaches.
They got Tunsil too, don't they?
No, Miami does.
Miami.
If Jack Del Rio was still in Jacksonville, with the talent that's there right now,
dude,
they're not an 0-2 football team.
They might be 2-0.
You know what I mean? Like Jack Del Rio took a team led by David Garrard to the playoffs one year.
I remember.
It says now he's in Oakland, and that's what I talk about. That guy was a good head football coach. Just because you didn't necessarily have all the things around you to work with in Jacksonville doesn't speak to what type of football coach you are. Now he's got a franchise quarterback in Oakland. They might become the Raiders of old within 5 years. They could be a Super Bowl team, pretty soon. You don't know. They've got the quarterback. They've got everything that they need there to start a building block, and they got in 5 years you could be looking at them as dominating the AFC West. You just don't know. You know what I mean? So that's I look at a place like Jacksonville, got all that talent, got a crappy head coach, and Gus Bradley can't do anything with it. That guy needs to be out the door. Somebody needs to fire his ass. Ridiculous that they're 0-2.
Listen, if I could, I would get a Howie Roseman jersey. That's all I'm saying.
Baltimore at Jacksonville. This will play into my theory, a perfect segue. Jacksonville stinks. They're 0-2. Jacksonville's a home underdog. Baltimore is favored by 1.5.
I'm taking Baltimore.
I'm taking Baltimore because Jacksonville stinks. Baltimore wins that game outright. I'll be shocked if Jacksonville wins that football game. 100% shocked. Buffalo, Arizona. Buffalo's the home team, another home underdog. A lot of home dogs this week, guys. Be careful, tough week to predict, right? A lot of home dogs. How about this? If I've already told you guys the line, but if you guys didn't know the line.
It's 4 right now?
4.5. Arizona, 4.5-point favorite.
On this pool you got, or 4.5?
Arizona's a 4.5-point favorite over Buffalo. Buffalo's the home team. If you didn't know that, you would guess.
Well, you would say
that line would be at least 7.
And you would say Arizona all day.
You'd say Arizona's got to be favored by at least 7 in that game. They've got to be -7.
But they're
Upset
a desperate team.
alert.
Vegas knows that they're a desperate team.
And Vegas pays attention to this type of stuff,
They know that they're
right?
a desperate team, yeah.
This game pretty much means nothing to Arizona. Arizona could lose this game and still be fine. They'll be 1-2, yeah, but they lost to the Patriots, which everybody seems to still be losing to the Patriots. They just absolutely dominated Tampa last week, and we thought Tampa was going to give them a run. Tampa looked like a pretty good football team week 1, and they beat them 40-7.
Yeah.
Just dominated them. This is not a big football game for Arizona.
I think Tampa Bay. Wait, what was it? Was Tampa
Bay? Tampa Bay was they were a 7-point underdog, and we thought that's too many points.
Yeah, right.
And then it turned out to be, they got blown out in that football game, right? Buffalo -4. Buffalo is +4.5. This game means so much more to Buffalo than it does to Arizona. Desperate football team. Feels like they could be playing for their season. Rex Ryan feels like he could be coaching for his job. He looks at the next 2 weeks. They've got Arizona this week, New England next week. If by some miracle I can win those 2 football games, maybe I save my job. Maybe we save our season. Who knows?
We'll see what happens.
Listen, that line tells me something. That line at 4.5 would scare me if I'm an Arizona fan.
So you're thinking it could be a 3-point game?
I think Buffalo plays them tough no matter what. I'll get cute and pick Buffalo for the upset just because I have a tendency to get cute when we do things like this.
He keeps saying cute.
You know what I mean? Like, I get cute prediction. You know what I mean? It's just like, the people that, pick,
all right.
There was people picking Cleveland to win the division.
Move on. I'm tired of hearing about Buffalo. This whole entire time when I was here, we heard about Buffalo and Rex Ryan.
There was people that were picking Cleveland to win the AFC North a year ago, and Johnny Manziel was going to be their quarterback because they thought it was going to be a crappy division. Like, I could see Cleveland making some noise in that division. There was some knowledgeable football people saying that, and then Cleveland did what Cleveland does and stunk. So, that's a game if you're Arizona.
Speaking of Cleveland, how about Josh Gordon, huh?
Yeah?
He said that they were having a warrant, but now I heard he's smoothing
for
that
DNA
over.
test. Yeah, because he didn't show up to court for
but he's smoothing it over now.
Test.
He said he's taking the test.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's not the issue. But yeah, Arizona, that could be a trap game. They're looking on to next week, a better opponent coming up. You could get caught not playing your best football. Just saying.
Yeah. When is? I was hoping that something would have happened and Cleveland Browns would jump a gun and they would just release Josh Gordon, and then Josh Gordon would smooth everything over and the Eagles would.
You're not buying my theory, are you? You got Arizona in that game, huh?
Do you want me to just take Arizona just to take them?
I don't know. Well, what do you think? -4.5. Do you think Buffalo can at least cover the spread?
They're a desperate team, but I think that they're so in disarray right now that I think Arizona wins.
See,
that's my opinion.
I could see Arizona win, but I still think Buffalo plays them tough. If Arizona wins, I see Arizona winning by a field goal.
That's why I was asking you if it was going to be a 3-point game.
I think it could be, yeah. I think if Buffalo wins, it's probably by 3 points or something like that anyway. It's probably a 3-point game either way. But Arizona could still win, but I really think Buffalo could cover this spread here. Desperate football team. They're going to show up and play good football. They at least cover that spread, I think. Oh, that's home underdog. That's a good line to look at.
Yeah.
Got Tennessee, Oakland. Tennessee -1.5. They're the home team against Oakland.
I'm going to go with Oakland.
I'll take Oakland in that game.
Yeah,
even though it's in Tennessee.
Tennessee's only -1.5 as the home team.
I understand.
I'm taking Oakland.
I'm taking Oakland.
Tennessee looked impressive that late drive. Mariota made a good throw to Andre Johnson against the Lions last Sunday.
Yeah.
Beat the Lions late. But Oakland, I really like Derek Carr. Really good player.
He's a good player.
Well coached. They've got an attitude. Do you see them play with a chip on their shoulder?
Amari Cooper?
Amari Cooper. They play like
he's a stud, dude.
They play like a team that's unafraid of things. They're not afraid. They're not afraid to gamble, not afraid to take chances. I like them. Miami, -9.5 against Cleveland. A lot of people picking Cody Kessler to cover that line.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Hold on.
Miami's the home team.
I understand.
Cannot go against the Browns. I mean, you can't go with the Browns.
Yeah, listen, Miami wins that game by double digits.
See, the 9.5, though,
Miami plays real defense. You really think Cody Kessler's going to look good against Adama Sue and Mario Williams?
I was waiting for the Michael. I was waiting for the Michael Vick sign.
I think Miami beats them up and dominates them. Yeah. New York, Washington. How about this?
I'm taking Washington with the points.
Giants minus 4.5.
Oh, I got them at 6 on mine.
Yeah, that line is dropped down to 4.5.
I already took them at 6. Yeah, dude, you got to take them at 6.
You got to take them at 4.5. I think. Washington, they're a desperate football team, just like the Bills are 0-2, playing for their season.
And you look at it like this.
In their division.
I'm looking at the stats. When the stats goes 1 point and 3 points for the NFC East division, it's been close. It's either been 1 point, like the Giants and Redskins, it came down to 1 point.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Skins with the 6.
Cincinnati, Denver. Cincinnati minus 2.5.
Cincinnati minus 2.5. Ooh, that's a trap game.
They're the home game. Or they're the home team.
It is a trap
Cincinnati's a home team?
Yeah.
I'm taking.
You know what?
I'm taking Denver.
I'm actually going to go on this. I'm actually going to take Cincinnati.
I'm taking Denver.
I'll take Cincinnati to win outright.
I'm taking Cincinnati.
And I think they win, but if they win outright, they're winning by at least a field goal. Denver's going to come back down to earth. Simeon's going to look average.
You know what? I agree with you, Zach. I do.
Seattle minus 10.5 over San Francisco. Too big of a line.
It's 11 points on mine.
San Fran, baby.
Yeah, I'll
Chip
take San
Kelly
Fran to cover.
Is about
Seattle
to
does
go
not look good.
Yeah.
2-1, baby.
I think San Fran.
Tampa Bay minus 4.5 over Los Angeles. Tampa or Los Angeles?
Tampa. They need a win.
Kansas City minus 3.5 over the Jets.
KC.
I'll take the Jets. I think the Jets win
Where's that line?
KC minus 3.5 over the Jets.
KC.
I'll take the Jets win by a touchdown.
Oh, jeez.
Kansas City.
Where's that game at?
That's Kansas City's the home team.
That's in Arrowhead?
Yeah.
I'm taking Arrowhead.
Indianapolis minus 2.5 over San Diego. I'll take the Chargers. Indianapolis stinks.
I'm not even going to tell you my prediction because every time I take the Chargers, they blow.
Pittsburgh minus 3.5 at Philly.
I'm taking the Eagles.
Eagles, baby.
I'll take the Steelers.
The reason
you stop it. Well, you know, if it's 3.5, I got the Steelers winning by a field goal, so Eagles cover the line.
Listen. I'm taking on my pool. It's 5. Eagles are 5.
I think Steelers win by a field goal. They still cover the line regardless. Right. Dallas is giving way too many points to Chicago. That's minus 7.5. New Orleans giving 3.5 to Atlanta. I think Atlanta wins that game outright. So that's where we're at. Out of time here on the rundown. We'll get into it a little bit more next week as we get used to the new time slots and all that. We'll adjust our time a little bit better and make sure that we're able to get to everything. This has been the rundown. A2DRadio.com, brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City. Minutes off of exit 37 of the Parkway, easy to get to, 609-568-9200. This has been the rundown. A2DRadio.com. Take care, everybody.